I want to try to put into words how it kind of happens when you have died and you want to come back and do something. I'm putting this in as most simple words as I possibly can. And I'm going to use the simple example of a glass of water. Now let's say the glass of water is the clear spiritual nature. All right? Now, in order for you to make dough, you add flour, which is an earth substance, to it. You thicken that water, okay? Now, whatever information was in that substance before it was broken down and powderized and put into a form, now we're talking with matter here, it takes some of that water and it absorbs it, and that's how you get your flour to thicken with water. Well, in a clear spiritual sense, a being who has died not only has material in the physical sense, but they have memory material. And that memory material that has been evolving in spirit through conscious physical activity, or seemingly unconscious physical activity, has been doing this for ever and for infinite right now through living things who keep track with a system that can't be failed when seen for what it is. Now, I'll get back to what I was saying with the glass of water. Now, when you've died, and this person that you once were, or thought that you only were, all of a sudden has no titles or words or anything. Now, you'll realize at this point that the language you speak doesn't, or spoke as the person you were, means nothing. And all the languages that were ever spoke meant nothing. They were shapes, but they were shapes for color, and and then there was shapes for those color through sound, and then there was shapes for that sound through consciousness, its raw form. Now, through all those shapes they're changing, it's like adding different things into that glass of water with just simple flour, something even smaller that would dissolve. Let's say we just add more clear water to the clear water. Nothing really changes much. But every time you go through one of those layers of water that has something else in it, it's got different material and different information in it. So when you want to come back and do it again, depending on your mental material, your spiritual material, and your memory of the physical world you once were in, it will replay itself the best it can in your mind. That's why a lot of people remember past lives and other people don't remember any, because they don't remember it from the brain of a human being. They remember it from their spiritual, brain, but not really brain. Their spiritual memory knows this. But we've never been taught this kind of thing in such a spectrum where it's something you dive into regularly. It's dove into all the time, constantly. You're always asking, what's next, nature? Because that's what nature does. Nature communicates with itself most of all. Only nature. All the other animals, they communicate with nature. They live with nature. They eat when nature feeds it. They eat what nature feeds it. If not, they try to find certain things. And they only stick to that certain stuff because they've learned what works and what doesn't. And they don't eat the stuff that doesn't. Now, we just think we can eat whatever we want because we want. But we're adding all these layers of stuff into that glass of water. So now when this physical body dies, it holds all the memory of all the things that went through all those different layers of water in their own little fruit life, vegetable life, all that kind of stuff. And it goes back into the ground. And the ground keeps the memory of all the material life and the spiritual memory. And then there's the color memory. And then there's these. And they're all being distorted. And the more you distort them, the farther and farther away they get from the original pure form. Now, when that pure form comes back and its farthest away point and tries to reintroduce itself to the very diluted water and says, hey, I'm the original point, and I'm trying to tell you that we've chose to do this to ourselves in a learning process, and now that we've done it, it's actually time to go to the next phase, which is grow together and save the world we almost killed. Because this happens to every universe, to every galaxy, to every planet. And they get a chance to fix it. Somehow. Sometimes nobody gets the message. But there's always somebody or something wondering what this is all about. And the answer has always been right here, to see what works and improve on it or go along with it. To see what doesn't work or needs help and work towards it. Those are simply the only things you do. You don't do anything that's unnecessary. You don't do anything that's harmful to the environment. And you don't do anything that is against the will of another being besides yourself. Those are the simple nature laws, because if you don't follow them, you die. Now what you do is you abide by them to the point you know, and you study them to the best of your ability without harming the environment, so that you can see how you can cooperate and coexist more peacefully, more in harmony, and actually continue to grow. Because if you don't, we're dying from the inside of our planet out. We're just a byproduct of the inner material and minerals using spirit to learn. And if this material deteriorates, that was a hard thing. Material deteriorates, yes. If this material deteriorates, then we don't have this same kind of, we'll say, water to mix with. So when you come back thinking you're going to come back and do something special, most people are stuck in an astral form where that's just them holding on to the memories of their last being or a being they once were, because it's not, there's no time. But when you get into that astral, it's more like you're still holding on to mental patterns of words and forms, and you're going to follow something along the suit of that. And when you hear or feel or sense or vibrate with something along those lines, you appear in that body. And that's where you go through in a timeless sense and play out a whole nother life. It sounds like I'm simplifying it, but I am. But that's because time expands and you get to experience it all. I'm only saying this so easily because it's normal to me. So back with the glass of water, it's so hard to try to put this into words and use simple terms. Now, the earth is also being resembled as pure at this state, but it's the pure black soil, the pure fertile soil. Now, we have toxified the top layers so much, it's leaked down into the center layers, into the inside layers, and we've dug down into its marrow, which is like the oils and the fossil fuels, and we've sucked out the juice of its bones or its structural stuff has been getting brittle, the faults. Those are our faults, our fault lines. We create most of those. Our shifting, our unthawing, our adjusting with nature. But we are not helping it by using the kind of energy we're using, by overreacting and getting angry with our temperatures and our temper. Our tempers do matter. Our thoughts do matter. They do cause things to happen. The more we waste things, the more we burn. The more we burn, the more heat. The more heat, the more pollution, because it's melting things. And melting and heat rising causes more moisture. As things deteriorate, the Antarctic is going to start unthawing. The ice is unthawing. And when it unthaws, it brings back memories from before. The oceans, the things you didn't see. The ocean. Now it's going to be the sea. Why do they call them the 7 seas? The water. You mix things with the water and it brings back the memories. If you want to see some amazing things, I've seen them. Because I was there when we put it in ice so that it wouldn't be here. It's just frozen in time. And in time, it can be unfrozen. And in time, it can be left alone. But how do you do that? By being cool, calm, and steady. Without trying to increase and increase and increase and increase and get better and get better and get better and get more and get more. And what do you think that does to the outside world? If you feel how that really, if you think about how that happens, all that pressure and all that buildup, what's that going to do? It's going to combust. And when it combusts, it's going to take everything with it. And when you do that on an individual level, but on every individual doing it on their own level, that's happening out in the world. We are creating this. We are God itself among ourself, walking around trying to manage ourself. That's it. Now we've got so many people acting like they're in charge of us, but if we're conscious, we don't need someone telling us what to do. And it's almost like, I'm sorry, but I can tell you right now, I'm not breaking any laws and I would never harm a thing. But I will not cooperate with you again, ever. You are not my owner, and I'm sorry. You can't come take me. You can't come whatever, because there's no reason for you to. You would be the bad guy in this situation because you're following rules of a master. Simply put, nothing against you. I love you, my friend. I just can't play along with the stupidity when I'm a living being who deserves what you would try to claim would be freedom, but are trying to keep people away from. And that is just the mockery of the living spirit. We need to stop it. So, I know I jumped all around, but I have so much in my mind, it's just all at once. So, till next time. I hope that helps. Peace.